I thought my husband was drifting away from me until a toy in my son's hand revealed the man I'd never met. The moment my son's toy started beeping, I realized the real danger was the man sleeping in my bed. I learned the man I married never existed. My husband wasn't who he said he was, and I learned this in the worst possible way. A single beep from my son's toy shattered everything I thought I knew about my family. My name is Mara Collins, and that Monday morning felt like the kind of day that already knew it was going to destroy me. The house was a mess, the clock was racing, and my 5-year-old son, Aiden, was in full chaos mode, crying because he couldn't find his favorite little blue truck, Mr. Blue, while also somehow managing to wear his Spider Man shirt inside out and lose a shoe in the process. My husband, Elias Ward, had slipped out before sunrise again, heading to one of those secretive meetings he never explained, leaving behind nothing but a cold cup of coffee and an even colder silence. I found Mr. Blue wedged under the couch, handed it to Aiden, and rushed him into the car. Everything seemed normal on the way to school, Aiden practicing what he'd say for show and tell, kicking his feet happily. But then, at a red light on Maple Street, his truck slid off the seat, and I reached down to grab it and heard it beep, beep, beep. Soft, rhythmic, electronic. A sound no cheap plastic toy should ever make. My stomach tightened. I dropped Aiden off, and when the toy beeped again, I took it straight to Ben Harper, our trusted mechanic of 15 years. The moment he examined it, his face strained. Mara, this isn't a toy, he whispered. It's a transmitter, and whatever's sealed inside it isn't kid-friendly. Go to the police station. Right now. Don't go home. Don't touch this thing again. My blood ran cold. I didn't even remember the drive to the station. Elias didn't answer any of my calls, not one. The police evacuated my car like it was a bomb. 4 hours later, they destroyed Mr. Blue in a controlled chamber. Detective Rowan pulled me aside, his face tight with tension. This was military-grade tech, not something an amateur could build. Whoever planted this knew exactly what they were doing. Someone wanted to hurt my son? I choked out. Rowan didn't answer directly, which scared me even more. Who gave Aiden that toy? He asked. I'm not sure. Maybe I bought it, or Elias did. When Rowan heard Elias's name, something shifted in his expression. Your husband? Former military, right? Yes. But Elias never talked about his past. Ever. That night, Elias finally called, sounding far too calm for someone whose son's toy had been rigged with tech the police treated like a weapon. Don't talk to anyone, he said. I'll handle this. I'm coming home. But he never came. Instead, someone else knocked, Agent Cade, stiff suit, emotionless face. We need to discuss your husband's activities, he said. That's when everything cracked. Because earlier that day, in a moment of panic, I had opened Elias's laptop. His password was always the same, Aiden's birthday. And in a folder labeled Tax Documents 2019, I found not tax documents, encrypted emails, mission logs, code names, and one message sent 3 days ago. The package is with the child, awaiting signal. My knees nearly gave out. Am I in danger? I whispered. Agent Cade stared straight into my soul. Mara, you need protection. That night, I took Aiden to my sister Tessa Collins and her husband Silas. Tessa hugged me without asking questions. Silas, a tech specialist, dug into Elias's military records. Mara, these files are redacted, completely wiped, he said. But something slipped through. A covert op in Prague, 2015. 3 agents killed, 1 survived. Elias was in Afghanistan in 2015. I insisted. Tessa and Silas exchanged a look that made my skin crawl. Silas turned his monitor toward me. According to official records, Elias Ward died in Afghanistan in 2015. 6 months later, someone using his name came back. Got medically discharged. No explanation. The air left my lungs. My vision blurred. Then, who did I marry? I whispered, and no one had an answer. Tessa's words hung in the air like a shadow, and suddenly every sound in the room muted except the pounding of my heart. When I went home later that night, the silence felt hostile, almost as if the walls themselves were listening. Elias still hadn't come back. Hours passed, and just when the clock hit midnight, I saw an envelope slide under my front door. My name Mara was scrawled on the front. Inside was a black and white photo of me, Elias, and Aiden. But on the back, written in a red marker, was a chilling message: nothing is what it seems. Before I could even process it, my phone buzzed. A hidden number. I answered, and a distorted voice said, "You think you knew him, Mara. You never did." I knew that voice, or at least the name behind it, Rook, the same name I'd seen in Elias's emails. I screamed, "Stay away from my family." But he only laughed. "I'll stay away from you, but will he stay away?" And then he hung up. My skin crawled. When I peeked outside, a black SUV waited at the end of the street for a long, unsettling moment before slowly pulling away. The next morning at the police station, Agent Cade laid the truth bare. Your husband's identity isn't just complicated, it's fractured. Elias Ward's real records barely exist. Whoever you married has been living under multiple identities. Then Detective Rowan burst in. We found his car, abandoned, windows smashed, blood on the seat. They didn't know if it was his yet. All I knew was that someone had gotten to him. And that someone wasn't done. Later, Agent Kade showed me another file, this one containing a name that made my blood freeze. Viktor Reznik, a man tied to Russian intelligence, a man whose reputation alone spelled danger. If your husband, whoever he really is, crossed Viktor, Kate said, we're dealing with something much bigger. When I returned to Tessa's house, Aiden ran to me, wrapping his little arms around my legs. I held him tighter than I ever had. That night, while we were sitting in the kitchen, the doorbell rang. Silas opened the door and froze. A man in a black coat stepped inside, flashed a badge. "Agent Pierce, we located your husband," he said, "but what I'm about to tell you, you need to brace yourself." My stomach clenched. "Where is he?" "The hospital," he said. "Critical condition." But there was more. His real name isn't Elias, it's Nikolai Vance, a field operative we lost track of years ago. Depending on which country you ask, he's either a traitor or a hero. He's been hunted for a long time. "Who did this to him?" I whispered. Agent Pierce swallowed. "A mercenary named Damien Voss, Resnick's right hand." And suddenly everything made sense, mister. Blue, the transmitter, the coded messages, Rook's phone call. None of it had been about me, or even Aiden. They wanted Nikolai, and they were willing to use my child to draw him out. I felt something inside me harden. "I want to see him," I said. Pierce tried to stop me, but I refused. At the hospital, Nikolai lay hooked up to machines, bruised and barely recognizable. I took his cold hand, leaning close. "Whoever you are, whatever you've done, you owe me the truth." Before I could say more, the door opened. But it wasn't Pierce. A stranger stepped in, tall, expression cold as steel, ice blue eyes. Damien Voss. My breath vanished. You put that device in my son's toy." "Yes," he said calmly. "But I didn't want him dead. I wanted him back." He nodded toward Nikolai. Then he looked at me, really looked at me, and his voice dropped. "I don't care about you, Mara, but the boy, he is leverage." Terror shot through me. Damien stepped forward. "Bring me the key Nikolai stole, or your son pays the price." Before he could take another step, Agent Pierce burst into the room. Damien smashed the window and escaped into the night. And in that moment, I understood. This wasn't just Elias's or Nikolai's past catching up. This was now my war too. And I would protect Aiden at any cost. That night, as I walked down the hospital corridor, every echo of my footsteps reminded me of the moment my life split in two, the moment that tiny beep from my son's blue toy truck cut through the silence. I thought it was nothing, but it was the sound of a truth I'd been blind to for years. Finding out that the man I married was a stranger, realizing that someone had targeted the most innocent part of my world, my child should have broken me, but it didn't. Because when Aiden's little fingers wrapped around mine, something inside me shifted. It didn't matter who Elias was, or Nikolai, or whoever he pretended to be. What mattered was who I was becoming. And in that moment, I stopped being the woman who let fear swallow her whole. The shadows of our enemies still lingered, but so did the fire rising in my chest. The hollow place fear carved inside me filled with something heavier, something steadier. A mother's resolve. People who want to hurt us seem to forget one simple truth. A wounded mother might stay quiet, but she is never weak. The woman they tried to break is gone, burned away in the flames of everything they took from me. And the one standing here now, she isn't prey. Not anymore. If this war has come to my door, let it. I'm not the woman who closes the door and hides behind it. I'm the woman who tears it off its hinges and walks straight into the fire. And this is only the beginning of my fight.